What's your point of view on fasting,
On fasting.
praying,
On fasting and what?
praying?
Praying. You cannot make a general rule which is valid for everybody the same. People are different, minds are formed different, and the bodies are different. I would say with the whole food thing, just don't stuff your face all the time unnecessarily. Be moderate, and then listen to your body. And then when you feel it's not doing you any good, it makes you feel heavy, then maybe you avoid rather that kind of food. Don't listen too much to all the theories how you should eat and should not eat, because then you get crazy. They are totally contradictory and they tell you do this and don't do that, do this and don't do that. Listen to your body, and if you feel that it would do you good sometimes to have a fast, then you may fast a bit, but you may also not.
Does it help to evoke your spirit in you?
It can, if it's done wisely. It has the tendency to purify, not only on the physical level, but then also energetically. But then people sometimes they force themselves to fast more than what is good for them, and then it's not helping spiritually. It's rather getting the minds more confused. The nervous system may suffer from that, and then the mind is getting more agitated, and people sometimes lose a bit the proportions about what is really important for them and what is not important. Then the thoughts can become very fantasies can become very important and become real, more and more real, and somehow it doesn't make sense at all. So listen to your own psychophysical manifestation, and as a rule of thumb, just be rather moderate, and then listen to your body, what is good and what is not good. And if you feel a little cleaning out would be good, then maybe you can do some fasting, maybe in a place where you are being supervised, if you don't dare to do it by yourself. But you can also do reasonable, moderate fasting all by yourself. But don't think that you have to now fast and fast a lot, and that is absolutely necessary, that you can progress spiritual. Then, what was the second?
Prayer.
Prayer. Right. It depends the personality. If you have a devotional personality, then prayer is absolutely valid. It's a valid way of connecting with that divinity. The devotee in the beginning may be very emotional about the prayers. There is God, and then I am, and I'm telling all my sorrows and being very emotional. But if you really are sincere about connecting with that divinity, then it's a sort of getting deeper and deeper, and the emotion is less the central thing, and you start more and more in your prayer to feel that divine presence. And actually, that divine presence the devotee feels is the same presence that the one feels that who goes on the Jnana Marga and asks, who am I? It's the same presence. But if you can touch that and reach that by praying, fine. But don't pray like a beggar. God, give me this, God, give me that, God, give me so many things. But in your prayer, open your heart more and more, that you more and more feel the divine presence is always there, that you feel guided by the divine presence. Then make your actions in a prayer, that whatever you are doing becomes a worship to the divine. And if you pray like this, definitely prayer is a very great help. There was that Christian mystic Francis of Assisi. He was not a learned man, he didn't learn any scriptures, and actually he was quite a spoiled rich kid when he grew up. With his friends, he was really going for enjoying himself and having orgies and really going for the stuff. Even amongst his indulgent friends, he was he was looked at as a real top indulger. And actually, he was on the way there. From one town to another town, they had these little wars in between sometimes, and he was on the way to a battle with. He was from Assisi, and going on the way to fight another town, and suddenly on the way, he didn't know where it's coming from. He heard a voice, "Go back and build up my church." And it so totally shook him up that he didn't go with his friends to the war. He just came back completely confused what is happening, and he took it literally, and there was an old little church that was falling to pieces, and he thought he has to build up that church again. Started to build it up, but he felt all his life has been a total waste. He didn't want to connect with his old friends if they wanted to connect, to go on in their old lifestyle. His father, who was a rich merchant, he was getting totally desperate about his son, and finally he kicked him out, and Francis was living in the little church, and he simply started to pray. He didn't have any theological knowledge. He didn't have much of a spiritual formation. He simply started to pray. And then others started to join him. Even his old friends, some of them, they came and were with him and living a very simple, extremely simple existence. And in the beginning, he was just he was hurt by his friends. He just was praying and praying and praying the whole night long. He was talking to God. He was talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And gradually, his talk was reducing. He wasn't telling all these stories and, to God anymore. And it was getting less and less and less, until it was just, he just repeated, "Oh my God." Well, he was repeating it in his Italian. "Dio mio, Dio mio." And it was just a heart there. And finally he was also dropping the "oh my," and he was just there, "Dio, Dio, God, God, God." And finally he stopped saying anything and just felt that communion with God. His prayer, his whole way, his whole approach was praying, praying, praying. First it was, as his mind was functioning, it was just blah, 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 talking to God. And it became less and less and less, and then it was just the community with God. By all means, if prayer is sincere, it is perfectly a valid approach.